Hello, beautiful people. Hi. Hello, it is Nicole Nash. Happy Friday. Hi, IG, and hi, Instagram, or no, that's Instagram, excuse me. Hi, YouTube, and hi, Facebook. Um, it's Friday. Happy Friday. We made it through. I want to hop on here really quickly, y'all. I'm just gonna give we're just continuing on with 30 days, 30 ways to level up your healing, and we're just gonna wrap it up. So we've been talking about narratives. We've been talking about trauma roots and fruits. We've been talking about trauma in general, and we're going to continue to talk about trauma for this particular healing challenge, just because you may find when it comes to, even if you're successful and you're rocking out in different spaces, you may find that some things may still stem from unresolved trauma. I found even, and this was my personal testimony, that it was actually trauma driving my success. And we're going to get a little bit more into that. But tonight, we're going to keep it simple. I want to go over, since we're talking about performance, I actually want to get into 6 indications that your worth may be based on performance. All right. So I just want to call this out. Definitely comment, chime in. Well, I will say, if you haven't followed my YouTube, I'm CN Nash on YouTube. Also on Facebook, I am Nine Fruits Counseling. Instagram, hi, it's the CN Nash. But I'm not saving my IGs on my IG lives, but I am saving my lives on YouTube as well as Facebook. So please, I encourage you all to go over, head over there, join there, and yeah, let's get started. So, first thing when it comes to worth and esteem, that is one of the areas of needs that we all have. So later on, we're going to talk about the hierarchy of needs, and one thing that comes into place is that we all need our sense of self-worth and self-identity to be watered throughout our lifetime. And so when we find discrepancies, when we find that those things aren't getting met in healthy ways, we're going to naturally look for ways for this need to be met. So when we talk about needs later on, think about needs as the destination. However, you can have multiple vehicles to get to that need, but one of our needs is always going to be the sense of self. Like we understand who we are, and we actually feel good about ourselves, like we have good self-esteem and self-worth. But here's the thing, when there was unfortunately the wrong seeds that were planted, or for some reason life happened and it just left to some misbeliefs or mistruths, or the false narrative was created because of these life events, sometimes you may find that you go through and you develop either low or no sense of self-worth. However, again, because this is a sincere need, you're going to look for ways to water that seed. And sometimes you may get into you may get into the misfortune of actually using and basing your worth on performance, And so I actually want to give 6 indicators just for exploration. Again, I'm always going to come and give yourself grace, but it's time for us to continue to show accountability if we want to continue to grow and go deeper in our healing. So, are you all ready? All right, let's get it. All right, the first indication that your worth may be based on performance is that it's never good enough. You're good, y'all. It's never good enough. And that's because you see yourself as, and there's always something more you could do. And notice a theme here as I talk about some of these indications. It's going to be about doing. Performance, right? It's an action oriented type of verb. And so when it comes to this first indication, it's just because you always feel there's always something more to do. And I'm going to be real, there's going to always be something more you could do, right? But just because there's always something more you can do doesn't mean it's actually feasible and reasonable for you, but also doesn't mean that what you're doing is not still whole and you're not still worthy. But that's one of the first indications. All right, the second indication is you maybe tend to I'm prone to look at the outcome versus the journey of the process. And so I'm not going to lie, outcomes are great because outcomes we use as measurements, meaning you need to know if you're hitting the mark or not, right? However, when you get so focused on the outcome of things, you actually neglect to get the value of the process, because we need the process and we need the journey in order to continue to do more outcomes. Meaning, even after you successfully completed one outcome, if you're not really learning lessons from the process, you may find you're going to repeat mistakes. And it's actually in the journey, it's in the process that we gain those skills and we gain those lessons that we can apply to other areas of life. But it may be an indication of that you're basing your worth on performance. Number two is that you find yourself looking more to the outcome of things and not the process of the journey. Hello there. Come on in. We're talking about indications that we may be basing our worth on performance. So number two is, again, I want to share, you may find number two is you're more prone to look at the outcome versus the journey or process. Number three, your measurements are subjective and they constantly change, meaning what was good today is going to change tomorrow. It's subjective. And the reason why a lot of times is more than likely you're prone to base your measurements on people. And do we need to like be in relationship and communication and fellowship? Yeah. But when you move based on people, first of all, people will always be outside of our control. So when we move based on like how we're doing or if our worth is good based on if people like us or not, hi, if we like move based on like if we're pleasing people, you may find that you're going to be in constant disappointment because people are going to fluctuate. I mean, people, we just people, people be people in, right? And so one thing I want you to check into, if you find that your as far as your measurements of success, if they're constantly changing, especially if they're constantly changing because of people. And I just want to say that. Okay, number four, we're almost done. We're keeping it short and simple tonight, y'all. Is you're never satisfied. Y'all, and I want to land on this when I tell you that I had moments where on paper it was great. I was doing this and doing that, but it was never enough and I was never satisfied. I was always thinking that, I was always looking for the next thing. And the reason why there was a lack of satisfaction is because I was coming from a place of lack versus a place of wholeness and wellness, meaning that everything I did was only a supplement to who I was, versus I had that so backwards, meaning that I was only as good as what I could achieve and what I could do, And so I do want to say that if you're finding that you're never satisfied over really, I'm talking about things that other people will be like, astonished by. If they seem kind of small and contrite to you, I would say check into that. It may be that you're basing your worth on performance. All right, we're good to go. Hi there. How was y'all's Friday? Chime in if you want. We're going to continue with this, but chime in and give your thoughts as well. All right, then. Been there. I promise you, yes, it's a work in progress. And yeah, so good. And please offer any kind of, tips on your feedback or tips or feedback on your journey as well. But yeah, we're going to continue because we're almost done. All right, number five is you have an extreme competitiveness in you. Now I'm gonna break that down and I'm gonna show my personality and I'm gonna like kind of like go general, right? Me, I'm not really a competitive person. That's just part of my personality. However, is there healthiness in competitiveness? Exactly, yes. I'm gonna say yes. There's a certain when we compete, it allows us to actually grow because what our measurements of success could be different from another person. So that other person could inspire us. However, here's the downside of competitiveness when it's too extreme. When we are basing our worth on performance, you get into competition because it's this need to always be number one. Now, here's the thing about number one. Number one is actually subjective in a lot of times, like what you think, unless it's like an actual, like literal, like go a certain distance, shoot a certain amount of hoops. Overall, in other areas, being number one is really subjective because my number one may be different from yours. But if you feel the need that you have to outcompete every single one, that you have to be number one to the point that you're actually damaging relationships in your workplace, you're damaging relationships, in your families, in your love lives, in your romantic relationships, in your friendships. Let's go there. If you find that you have to compete with your friends, out of all people who are supposed to be your support system, you may actually be dealing with your worth and your identity is based on performance as well. Hello there. We're wrapping it up with the last one, y'all. Any questions? Because we're going to just go ahead and push through for this Friday. Number six, y'all, is your days are good or bad. And it just depends on how you view the outcome of your day. Meaning that when you look at the end of your day, and let's say, you had and we call this kind of filtering. I'm not going to get into cognitive work tonight, but we call it filtering, where you actually, like, you look through your whole day, and if your day wasn't like exactly how it went, you had a couple of hiccups here and there, you base your day as in it was an overall bad day. But even worse, you base yourself and you view yourself through the lens of something completely negative, right? And so your days are make or break depending on how well you do, right? And even your identity is impacted by how well you perform. If this is the case, you may be dealing with your worth or basing your worth on performance, y'all. So here's the thing, and I spoke about this yesterday briefly, but I want to really get a little bit more into it. Performance is a great thing. We're called to perform, we're called to act, we're called to do something. But when we base our worth on performance, it's going to be temporary. We're never going to be satisfied, because I'm going to be real, there's always going to be more people you can engage with, more people that you can counsel, more people you can talk to, more people you can share the word to, more people you can like train if you're physical trainer, more people you can inspire, more people there's always going to be more. It's not going to end, right? Because the world's going to constantly have needs. The world's going to constantly have problems. And so even though performance is great, it's a temporary high. It's not going to last long. Not only that, is when you base your worth, and worth is permanent, when you base your worth on something so fleeting, so subjective, you're going to be all over the place, which can influence and impact your decisions at the end of the day. So those are 6 indications that you may be, yes, you're a human being, not a human doing exactly. But we're going to be breaking down and talking about why we get into the doing, right? But that is exactly what the goal is, we are worthy just because God calls us worthy at the end of the day. All righty. So those are just 6 indications, just checkups that may indicate you're basing your worth on performance. So I will see y'all. Oh, quick thing. So the weekends, I'm not going to be doing lives. I will be doing posts, because this is a 30-day straight challenge. We're going to be going through it. So just look out for on social media, on my Facebook as well as my IG, for the posts that so you can continue to explore and go deeper in your healing. But that's it for tonight, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of your Friday evening. And thank you all for showing up sincerely, y'all. Thank y'all, Aji, so much, y'all. And until next time, God willing, God bless.